Welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about two motorcycle braking mistakes that is going to result in a collision. So what's going to happen here in this first video is that we're going to have somebody riding around in a parking lot and they actually have the right of way, but they didn't see the hazard in time, ran right into the car. Now on the second video, what we're going to have is a Harley rider or cruiser rider not utilizing progressive brake pressure, even though they had a very long distance to stop, still ran into the vehicle in front of them. So we're going to be talking about what happened in these videos so that we don't do these things for ourselves. Today we're going to be using the Smart Rider system, and the biggest thing here is definitely going to be the situational awareness and maintaining your fundamental motorcycle skills. So situational awareness, we're going to be using the color code chart, and we're going to be talking about the braking portion. So let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit here. And first note real quick is that in a parking lot, it is very dangerous. There's a bunch of little intersections. I mean, you see one right here, and then any car wanting to pull out is technically, for me, an intersection in a way because they're going to be in your path of travel. So right here, scene survey, what can I pick out of this? Right here, we have an arrow that's directing traffic. So what I understand is the rider has the right of way. He's supposed to keep going. And if we move forward just a little bit, you see these slashed lines right here. So that means any cross traffic needs to stop. I have right of way. But once again, I don't trust any of that stuff because I need to be responsible for my own safety. I'm not going to expect other drivers to stop in time. And we already saw what happened there. So inside this area, we are going to be in orange stage. If you don't know what any of that stuff is, we're going to be utilizing this as part of the Smart Rider system. So this is going to be the situational awareness portion of that. And we're going to be using the maintaining of fundamental physical skills, which is going to be braking skills here, which in this situation wasn't able to be applied because situational awareness just wasn't there fully. So right here, definitely orange stage, and I see this driver stopped, and that's really good, but I definitely would keep both hands on the handlebars. This is one of those situations where I personally would. I like to ride around with one hand at sometimes, but this is one of those situations where, you know what, I'm not going to chance it. High alert, hazardous area. So right here, he stops. Thankfully, he stops, but we're going to go ahead and accelerate through here, and just because that person stopped doesn't mean everybody else will. Really quick, right here, what I can tell you is that we have really bad line of sight for this intersection or any vehicles that want to come out into our path of travel. Very bad line of sight. When you can't see around these hazardous zones, think of it kind of like a blind corner in a turn, but we're having problems seeing the hazard come out in front of us. So here, slow it down a lot, actually. I would probably go 5-10 miles an hour until I can get out of this area or until I get better line of sight. So bad line of sight, last second until we see this hazard. So it typically takes about 1 second of perception to the reaction to actually activate our fundamental evasive motorcycle skills. So make sure you're removing that or extending your time to react by slowing down. So the only way you can really remove that 1 second is by hovering your hands over the brakes, being preemptive about that, or seeing it right away. But in this situation, this is the moment you're going to be able to see it. So his perception and reaction is not going to be good enough for this type of distance. So remember, progressive brake pressure, we'll talk about that in the second video, but this one definitely is a situational awareness issue. Physical skills wasn't able to actively be employed in here. So at this moment, you should be in red stage, but there's just not enough time. So this is where we need to acquire and use personal protective equipment for something like this where we just fail at some things, and then the gear is going to hopefully mitigate some of the injuries. So we're going to go ahead and collide with that. And right here is what I talk about all the time with hand injuries with a motorcycle rider, is at the moment we hit, the hand moves forward and actually catches the thumb, and that's called skier's thumb. It can easily break some ligaments, bones, and some tendons in there, and that's maybe what happened there. But you see how his hand flew forward? Imagine your thumb getting caught on the handlebar or on the hand grip, and then your hand moving forward. That's going to be very painful. Also, your pelvic injuries, maybe some leg injuries, but this is relatively slow speed. At higher speeds, he's going to go up and over or into the actual car, so it's going to be very dangerous for him. At the end of the day, is it this person's fault right here? Yes. But also remember that it's not a good situation for anybody involved. I personally, as a motorcycle rider, just because I collided with somebody and it was actually their fault, I would feel really responsible for my safety, but then I'd also feel pretty bad because there's a child in the back seat after the fact. Should we get mad at this driver? It's up to you. It's an emotion that you're going to have, but at the end of the day, let's go ahead and calm it down and not escalate things and cause different things for other people that are in a negative way. Now, let insurance handle this. Hopefully your gear protected you. Hopefully you're doing fine, and then take this as a lesson that we need to be more aware and slow it down, especially in very high hazardous situations like a parking lot. So when we look at this scene right here, it's a Harley Davidson. I remember from when I had my Sportster. So this might be a Sportster, it might be a little Softail or Dyna or something like that. Either way, it's going to be a cruiser. Now, cruisers utilize about 70% of the brake pressure up front and about 30% in the back. With sport bikes, it's typically 90-10. Either way, you're going to get a lot of your stopping power up front on that front wheel, and that's because when you apply brakes, either the rear or the front, you're going to have weight transfer to the front. So our bodies start to move forward. You feel that in your car when you apply the brakes, you start to move forward, and you'll even feel it on your bike if you do it. So you're going to move forward, and when you move forward, you're going to have a lot of weight on that front tire, and it's actually going to grip it and grab it really well. Friction is what causes you to actually have grip. So make sure you have that friction, and then apply progressive more and more and more brake pressure. If you want to know more about that, that was a quick explanation. Go ahead and check out the video. It's going to be linked in the description at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and move forward a little bit right here. And right here we have perfect stopping distance, like total stopping distance. If we had to apply the brakes right now, we should be able to stop in time. Also very good following distance, and he's in a good position. You can be in lane position 1, you can be in lane position 3, lane position, whatever position you want to be in. It's not that big of a deal. Especially when we have this much of a following distance. But you notice how the object that's in front of us got bigger and bigger and bigger. That right there should let you know that we are getting closer and closer and closer and closer to it. So when you're out riding, and this is typically what you see, like, let's say on the interstate or anywhere with relatively good speed, right here, this is what you see. And if it starts getting closer and closer, then you need to start regulating your own speed to maintain a space cushion that you're comfortable with. But that means that you need to stay zoned in. So at this stage, I would be in yellow. So yellow stage, I'm zoned in, relaxing, but I'm keeping aware that there is something way ahead of me, maybe in the 8 to 12 second following distance range. But when we get closer and closer, now we're getting closer to the 6 second following distance range. So it went from maybe 10 seconds to 6 seconds. So that means I'm getting closer. So now I need to start going into more of an orange stage mode. So right here, I'd be in orange stage. We're going to move forward a little bit more, and now I'm definitely right up on him, and I should be utilizing deceleration, either rolling off the throttle, utilizing the engine braking, which is very, good in this situation, because then you can, feather the clutch, and then you can move on, because it looks like this person's going to turn left or right. That's why they're stopped in the middle of the road. We have talked previously about the perception, reaction, braking distance that equals total stopping distance. So I'm going to get to the point where he perceives, and about right here is when he perceives, oh crap, something's about to happen. So you're going to have about a half a second to a full second for the actual reaction, which is going to be the movement. So you go from orange stage to immediate red stage. If you fail at going from orange stage to an action, that's going to be the brown stage. So red stage is when you utilize good maneuvers, fundamental skills, and everything. Brown stage, you panic. So right here, he's going to go ahead and react. You see the hand starting to move? There is the brake pressure. The biggest thing that we're going to be seeing is that we're going to have the clutch and then the brake, maybe the rear brake. But right now, does it look like we have good total stopping distance? Because from my Harley Sportster, I understand that this speedo straight up and down is about 60. So he's going a little over 60 miles an hour. This is not going to be enough total stopping distance for 60 miles an hour. This might be good enough stopping distance for 30, but we're not going that speed. So we're going to have to slow it down and then find an escape route. So he's going to go ahead and apply the brakes, and it's just not going to be enough. And that's what I'm talking about, is that the total stopping distance, how much room that you absolutely need to stop, is not going to be enough. So you're going to have to find an escape route. So about right here, since I decelerated and I was able to get some, information in my brain, I would swerve to the right and move over to the shoulder. You guys can utilize the shoulder. It's plenty of room. People lane split all the time. Quick editor's note, it does look like the car might be turning right, so you need to swerve left. So, but at the end of the day, are you going to know that unless you've been paying attention? It's always better to have good situational awareness instead of having to take a gamble on whether you're turning right or turning left, depending on which way the car is going. If you have to guess, you're in the wrong spot. So use that small profile that you absolutely have and move over to the right side, and then hopefully get away from him. And then that will be considered a close call, and from there, go ahead and review what happened, how it happened, and then get yourself back into that zoned mode and paying attention. But since he did collide with this rider, there's not much we can do. And remember, wear your full gear, because that's the whole point, is that if you fail at your fundamental skills or situational awareness, hopefully you have gear that's going to minimize or mitigate the injuries associated with it. And also remember to get some insurance for your bike, because now his bike is on the ground. Poor bike. It sucks. His lifestyle, he probably really loves riding, and now he can't because he's got to deal with all this stuff. And if he doesn't have insurance, he's definitely not going to be able to, afford a new bike. So go ahead and get the insurance that is appropriate for you, and make sure you're getting some gear too, because that way you minimize some of these injuries. But the biggest thing in both of these videos is situational awareness. If you can't see the hazard, you're never going to be able to react in time to that hazard. So make sure you're scanning the horizon, you're scanning all these different things with your eyes, and then you're thinking that this could possibly be a hazardous zone, so I'm going to definitely be paranoid for right now, and then I'm going to get out of here and be in that yellow zone where I can just relax, okay? With that said, hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll see you around.